Being alive. What does it mean? When you hear this question, you must be thinking about your own self. Your name, your body, your gender, the house you are living in, or even the friends you go out with. Yes, am I right? Life seems to be constantly going from seconds starting now to minutes to hours to days, to years, and even decades and era. Don't you wonder how life can go on for such a long time period continuously each day? How do you realize that life is happening? How can you differentiate between living and non living things? Well, here is the answer: movement. Yes. Imagine yourself sleeping and an alien bombards your home. He might think that you are lying still and might even consider you dead. But are you? No. Because the movement is happening through your lungs as you breathe in and breathe out. You are still moving, but the movement seems slower than usual. So let's see, the same might be the case with other things. Like plants? When you see a plant or a flower or even a tree, clearly you see them only still, without any sort of movement. But in reality, the movement is happening inside their beings. Movement of molecules, movement of cells, movement of food and water, and so on and so forth. So even if we can't see them move, plants are still living. You see, a virus does not show any movement even under a microscope. But as soon as it infects a body, it starts to multiply itself, thus, it means that it is alive only when infecting a host. To conclude, we cannot always judge what is alive and what is dead based on movement that is only visible to the naked eye. The life is always depended on minimum to minimum microscopic molecular movement. That is where it all begins. Now you might wonder, what are these movements responsible for, and where do these small movements in a living being help to stay alive? Which brings me to our next concept. Look around you. For a minute, observe. Close your eyes and feel the movements in your body as you stay still. Can you feel the movement around your chest? Yes. Were you forcing this movement, or was it all happening naturally? Now try to focus again by keeping your hand on your chest. Can you observe the continuous pounding of the heart? Isn't it spectacular? You are able to feel the movements inside yourself, and yet you are not even the one doing them. They are happening on their own. So what causes movements to sustain for time and longer? What will happen if something inside of a body suddenly stops moving? See, the human body works like a machine. If the movement inside the body stops, it will cause major problems like organ failure. It is very essential to maintain the smallest molecular movements so that it can carry out the life processes needed for a living being to stay alive by preventing any breakdown of the whole process or a part of it. These processes, which together perform this maintenance job, are called life processes. To maintain something, work is required, right? And to work, energy is required. For example, as I am teaching you, I need energy to speak and teach and to listen, read and write what is being taught in this lecture. You also need the required energy for the same. But coming back to the point, even all small life processes need energy to work, to maintain the flow of life processes. And since energy can only be received primarily from external environment through food, sun, nutrients, and water, etc., the intake of this energy must be given to the whole of the living being. Now, different living beings have different needs. I mean, you may have an appetite of 5 chapati, but a small infant will hardly want a bite. But you are you because you grew. Hence, for a living being to grow, the energy must be taken from outside consistently. Such a process is known as nutrition. Same way, we already know that the living beings are divided into multicellular with complex body type and unicellular with simple body type, hence having different appetites. Unicellular living organisms are in direct contact with its environment and can intake nutrition via diffusion. But same is not the case with multicellular organisms, as their cells and molecules are protected by layers of muscles and tissues, and hence are not in direct contact with the environment. Therefore, the intake of nutrition happens from a specific part of the body. Can you guess that part of the body? Yes, mouth. Now the food from our mouth has reached the stomach, but nutrition is required by the whole body and each of its cells, so we need to transport the nutrients to the whole body parts. The transportation of nutrients from the stomach to the whole body is done by the bloodstream flowing through our body. The sources of energy or nutrients need to be broken down in the cells and must be finally converted into a uniform source of energy that can be used for various molecular movements to maintain life structures. The chemical reactions needed to break down molecules require oxygen from outside. Such a process of taking oxygen from outside the body and using it to break down food for needs of the cells is what we call respiration. The various chemical reactions that break down carbon-based food using oxygen for energy generation produce, you know very well, byproducts. These byproducts are extremely useless to the living creature and might even prove harmful if stayed inside the organism for a longer period of time. Hence, it is essential that it is removed from the body as waste and discarded outside by a process called excretion. Excretion is a process in which metabolic waste is eliminated from an organism. In multicellular organisms, a specialized excretory system is developed. A transportation system transports the waste away from the cells to this excretory system, where it is eliminated from the body. This was all about the introduction you needed for this chapter, life processes. In the rest of the chapter, we will study about these topics in detail. We will first discuss nutrition in detail, followed by the whole process up to excretion. Detailed chapter notes regarding these topics are available on the EduRev app. Practice is the key to scoring well in exams, so you must attempt the respective tests of this chapter in the EduRev app. You can unlock all the locked videos, docs and tests of class 10th with EduRev Infinity Plan and ace your exams at less than 80 rupees per month. Thank you.